One night, this girl is driving down the road with her boyfriend in the car, and she decides she wants to murder him. And so, kaboom, she slams the car directly into a brick wall. Now, the girl's name is Mackenzie, and Mackenzie's 17, living in Ohio, and she's kind of a wannabe influencer.
Today we're looking at creepy TikTok videos that feel like they know something illegal.
Welcome to KFC. I hope y'all are hungry. Come on in, I promise I don't bite.
We got the best fried chicken in America, made with my original recipe. And know y'all, the chicken ain't genetically modified. Just take a look for yourself, ain't nothing wrong with these chickens.
Thank you to all the channel members for support. Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be looking at this video. We're just going to jump right into the video. So if you're seeing this, like, subscribe, let's go.
These are my confessions as a psychic medium, part infinity. Where is the afterlife? Well, it's all around you. And in fact, you're still in it. Remember, you have never ceased being a spirit, but yet you are also alive looking through this body at the same time. Did you know if you're a woman in this life, you were probably a man last life, and that's why you get along so well with the boys. The family that you were born into, you've had many lives with them, and essentially you're trying to play out karmatic differences. Learn what they are so you don't have to do it again. You're crying at your dog's side as you're putting them down. The only thing they're thinking is, why is mommy crying? I'm here with her right now. Animals only live in the moment. It doesn't matter what language you spoke here in the physical. Remember, when spirits come in and use my brain, they use signs and symbols, feelings and emotions, and anything that I have ever seen, felt, done, or experienced to talk to you. Have you ever really been missing your loved one and then you're out and about and then you hear somebody call their name? Well, that's because they made that happen. Don't think it's a coincidence. There are multiple points where you have an option of exiting your life. If your consciousness feels that it's not ready to, it will not happen. And that's kind of what we call near-death experiences. Absolutely everything happens for a reason. You just may not know exactly why at the moment. You don't really have free will. Everything is already planned out. Essentially, we're watching a movie. We do have choices within that movie, but even all those choices are already planned. The music industry is trying to control you through frequency because you are frequency, vibration, and energy, and whatever music you listen to, that is what you embody and become. Keep on listening to that low vibe stuff and watch no miracles happen. People that say animals don't have souls, you're being reincarnated again. Understand that there are no past lives. Every single life is happening right now. I want you to think of all our lives as a book. They're all on top of one another. But right now, where our consciousness is, it's only focused on this page. And that also means that those people in your life right now that you're like, oh my God, I know I've had a past life with, well, you have. You are. And that's why you feel so connected with them. 2 reasons as to why bad things happen. First, it's for you to learn a lesson. Second, it's for the population to learn a lesson. And third, it's because you didn't listen to your gut and you chose that way. That was a way of the ego. Next time, choose differently. When you adorn yourself with your loved one's jewelry or items, you're actually feeling part of their soul, part of their vibration, and they are connecting with you at that moment. Anxiety is all about living in the future. Depression is all about living in the past. The only moment, the only moment that you have is right now. And so remember, focus on that and all of those things will go away. Everything that anybody has ever thought of exists in some version of reality. We're all antennas. So when we start to focus or when we get inspiration, we're pulling that inspiration from another reality and then we're thinking about it, we're creating it, and we're manifesting into this physical world. But yes, unicorns exist on some level. If you're walking around a historical location and you feel really drawn to it, it's because you had a past life there. Actually, a version of yourself is still there.
There's a theory that the Hoover Dam is secretly a demonic throne and that the government put angels there to cover it up. You go to the Hoover Dam, you're gonna see something really odd. There's a spot that has 2 giant winged statues made out of bronze. They look like angels, right? They are technically called the winged figures of the Republic, but this is the weird part. No one officially says what they are. They're not angels, they're not demons, they're figures. And that's not random. There's actually a floor underneath them that is a cosmic map. It shows the exact alignment of the stars the day that the dam was completed. Like they wanted like aliens or gods to find this later. You'd think it's just some like artsy little design, right? But the guy who made that design said that this is specifically supposed to last for thousands of years. Like that design was supposed to outlive our civilization. And this is where it gets a little darker. People also call this place the throne of the devil. But why would a dam need a cosmic star map and then 2 20, 30-foot bronze guardians? And then all of these like occult looking type symbols. Well, get this. So over 100 workers died while building the dam. And some people do believe that their bodies were sealed into the concrete and that they were considered to be sacrifices to bless the sculpture. And then, on top of all of this, the location of these statues don't really make any sense. Like, why would they have these big designs at a power plant? And if you're religious, you also have to remember Satan was originally an angel. Another crazy thing to note is that the Hoover Dam has been featured in dozens of end-of-the-world movies, disaster scenes, and games. It has always been the center of destruction and secret technology. And then it's like, is that a coincidence, or is it programming for us to see it as the key to something? Even the name Hoover comes from a president who was involved in major US power shifts, literal power and electricity. And this makes you wonder if the government is trying to hide in plain sight. Massive monuments with spiritual symbolism built into them. Government approved, celebrated, protected, and most of us never even question it. So when you pass by and you take a little selfie, you don't even realize you are standing on what some call a throne. But the question remains, a throne for who exactly? Let me know your thoughts in the comments and follow for more.
I've been to the Hoover Dam before, and I've definitely seen those statues, but I never really thought too much about it. I feel like they usually just build statues as like kind of, I guess, decorations. You know what I'm saying? Like when you go to like a chapel, there's always going to be like huge monumental statues. I feel like it's kind of the same thing, although that's a dam compared to like an actual chapel. Who knows? Probably just for decoration, in my opinion.
In honor of the 80th anniversary, these are the most morbid facts about the bombing of Hiroshima. Many people who witnessed the nuclear blast firsthand were blinded instantly. Some were even left with permanent atomic bomb cataracts like this one. When the bomb was dropped, the blast was so powerful that it permanently burned the shadows of objects and people into the ground. A few of these shadows remain imprinted in the Peace of Memorial Museum. The massive destruction of Hiroshima was caused by only a half a gram of matter being converted into energy, about the weight of a butterfly. Some Hiroshima survivors eventually grew black fingernails that looked like this. These fingernails contained active blood vessels and bled profusively when they broke off. If you're a certain distance from a nuclear explosion, you won't die immediately. Instead, you'll get third-degree burns all over your body, and your nerves will be killed so fast that you'll barely even feel it. This happened to a lot of victims in Hiroshima, and when rescuers would grab their arms to help them, their skin would slide off like a glove. The Japanese army had no idea Hiroshima had been bombed until an entire day after it happened. This was because there was no way to communicate with them, since the bomb destroyed all phone lines, telegraph lines, and radio transmitters. They had to literally fly an official out to Hiroshima to find out why they weren't communicating, and he found a city that was completely obliterated. Albert Einstein encouraged President Roosevelt to develop the atomic bomb because he feared the Nazis would make one first. But he deeply regretted this after hearing about the devastation of Hiroshima, and knowing that his discoveries led to the invention of the atomic bomb made him very depressed. Here's a watch found in the Hiroshima rubble that's permanently stopped at 8:15 a.m., the exact time of the bomb's detonation. Godzilla was created as a metaphor for nuclear weapons and was given the appearance of a Hiroshima victim. His atomic breath is meant to symbolize the blasts and devastation of the bombs, and he's covered in keloid scars to depict the brutal body scars of Hiroshima survivors. In fact, those who suffered the most from the bombings were in such horrific condition that people called them ant-walking alligators. According to one account, they were described to be, quote, faceless with their heads transformed into blackened alligator hides with red holes indicating mouths. They had once been human. When the sky exploded, they'd had the misfortune to survive. The alligator people did not scream. Their mouths couldn't form the sounds. The noise they made was worse than screaming. They uttered a continuous murmur like locusts on a midsummer night. One man, staggering on the charred stumps of legs, was carrying a dead baby upside down. None of them survived for long.
To be completely honest, I feel like Albert Einstein was low-key kind of right. I feel like the Nazis would have created the atomic bomb first, and it would have did way more destruction than that what happened to Hiroshima. Although what happened to Japan was pretty bad, I feel like the Nazis would have made it worse, and we would have been watching this video like, this is what happened the day the Nazis bombed all of the United States and Europe. You know what I'm saying? It would have been tragic.
Welcome to KFC. I hope y'all are hungry. Come on in, I promise I don't bite.
We got the best fried chicken in America, made with my original recipe. And no, y'all, the chicken ain't genetically modified. Just take a look for yourself, ain't nothing wrong with these chickens. Y'all think we got mutant chickens over here? Either way, y'all love this stuff. Who cares how we raise them chickens? They're good eating. and that's all that matters.
It's finger licking good, y'all.
So there's a brand new horror movie that just came out, and this movie just pulled off something that almost no other horror movie this entire decade has. This movie is called Weapons, and as of right now, it's got a perfect 100% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay. If you don't know about Rotten Tomatoes, that is a ridiculously rare score. Only 2 horror movies in the entire past decade have done that, and one of those was called His House on Netflix. So the plot of this movie is that this entire class of kids just mysteriously vanished all in the same night, all at the exact same time. All of them except for one. The one surviving kid becomes the center of this massive mystery, and now the entire town is spiraling, trying to figure out what happened. Was it a person? Is it a cult? There are actually critics that are calling this movie the most disturbing, the most psychological, and darkest movie they've ever experienced. And if that 100% Rotten Tomato score holds, this could be the best reviewed horror movie of the entire decade. Like, hello? Let me know if you're gonna go try to watch this new movie Weapons, but a lot of people are saying that they're too scared to even try. I haven't seen it yet, but I'll make sure I give you an update after I do watch it. I give you these roundups every day, so make sure you add me and come back to me tomorrow.
If you see one of these hanging from someone's bag, run. Oh, sorry, I meant these. Turns out they might be kinda demonic, so this is everything you need to know about the Labubu demon theory in 1 minute. These collectible toys called Labubus have been going crazy viral after a few celebrities were seen hanging them off their purses, and so everyone wanted one. They are these weird stuffed creatures with sharp teeth, evil grins, and angry looking eyes that can also be red. Not suspicious at all, right? Then many people came out online saying weird shit started happening right after they bought theirs. Stories of objects moving around their house, waking up with scratches, getting sick, and experiencing chest pains. One girl claimed she saw the eyes change color and this smile get wider. Another got in a car accident shortly after buying one. Either way, everyone just felt a creepy, unsettling presence around these toys for some reason. Well, now similarities are being drawn between the name Labubu and a demonic deity from Babylonian mythology called Pazuzu, who's known as the King of the Demons and is often depicted with animal features, sharp teeth, a grinning smile, and long ears. Looks familiar, and people got so spooked they started burning theirs and throwing them out of fear. And of course, Simpsons already called it over 7 years ago in an episode where Homer buys a literal Pazuzu toy for Maggie and she gets possessed. Celebrities endorsing behavior with weird demonic undertones marketed towards the youth has disturbingly become just another Tuesday in the 21st century. I do not claim any of this negative energy, and don't worry, neither do you.
You know why something evil has to ask permission to come into your house? It sort of goes back to this old belief that nothing evil, nothing negative can enter into your life, can enter into your home unless you give it permission. See, we naturally have this protective barrier surrounding us. Some people call it guardian angels. Some people call it, a protective spirit. But we are naturally protected from these sort of things. But these evil, these negative entities try and break us down and get us to open that space, to allow them to come in. And so our homes, where we live, where we love, where we share intimate moments, right? That becomes a protective space. And this evil entity cannot enter through that doorway until you give it permission. Now, this story comes out of North Carolina. There was this woman who said when she was a young girl, she grew up in a small home up in the Appalachian Mountains. And she said when they first moved into this house, she remembers at night hearing what sounded like young children out in the woods laughing and saying things and calling her to come outside. And she would see shadows moving across her window like someone was walking around out there. She just ignored it, and she really had no idea what was going on. And she had heard stories, she had heard rumors from friends, that if anything evil comes to your door or invites you outside, do not listen to them, do not follow. Well, this one particular night, her parents left her in charge of watching her brothers and sisters. And she said they were running around the house playing when all of a sudden she got kind of this sick feeling in her stomach, like something was wrong. And she said her brother started screaming and started freaking out and crying. And she's like, what's going on? Like, what's wrong? And he says, they're coming for us. Like, they're going to get us. They're coming. And she's like, what are you talking about? Who's coming? And he just kept saying, like, they're coming. And all of a sudden they hear boom, 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 like a knock at the front door. So she runs over to the window and she looks out, and she said at the front door was this young boy, with an old-timey haircut and wearing sort of like this blue jacket and blue pants with these like black boots. And she said he just looked out of place. She knew something was wrong. So she calls out to him from behind the door. Yes, like, what do you want? What do you need? And she said this boy responded, please, let me in. Please, let me in. And she's like, no, I'm not supposed to open the door. Mom and Dad are gone. Like, I can't open the door for you. And he's like, please, it's cold. Let me in. And she said, no, you're going to have to go somewhere else. I'm not opening the door. And right as she says that, the lights in the house started to flicker. And she said she took her brothers and sisters, they ran into their mother's room, and she closed the door, and they all just started praying. And finally, their parents got home, and they felt safe again. And she said within a couple weeks, it was all over this town that there was a young kid who disappeared. And she felt like that had something to do with whoever was knocking on the door there.
Marking orange smoke in the forest. Medic, rescue the wounded. Murphy, give me the handy walkie. Star 1, this is Eagle 1. Come in.
Eagle 1, this is Star 1. What are you guys doing there? LT?
I got Labubu comms between the forest and orange smoke.
I got orange smoke. Let her rip. Roger that. Coming in hot.
I'm not gonna lie, the Vietnam War always reminds me of like Home Alone. I feel like it makes sense though, because like you gotta look at it. If an intruder comes into your house, right? You're used to your house. You know everything about your house. You know the slightest details about your house. This intruder knows the bare minimum. They probably had like a plan, a map, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, the bathroom's here, room's here, kitchen's here, but they don't know your house like you do. So when the intruders come in, you can set up all types of traps, all types of things that they don't even know. So I feel like it made sense for Vietnam to be such a struggle for the U.S.
A bus driver in Florida was transporting 20 psychiatric patients when he got hungry and stopped to grab a bite to eat. In his hurry to get food, he forgot to lock the bus doors. When he came back, all 20 patients were gone. Desperate to keep his job, the driver drove the bus straight to a bus stop and shouted that rides were free. People nearby couldn't believe their luck and hopped on without hesitation. Once 20 people were on board, the driver stepped on the gas and drove straight to the psychiatric hospital. When they got off the bus, the passengers tried to explain they weren't mentally ill, but the hospital director wouldn't listen. Every mental patient says they're not sick, he claimed, and even told the nurses to increase their medication doses. It wasn't until 7 years later, when the media exposed the story, that the 20 people were finally released.
One night, this girl is driving down the road with her boyfriend in the car, and she decides she wants to murder him. And so, kaboom, she slams the car directly into a brick wall. Now, the girl's name is Mackenzie, and Mackenzie's 17, living in Ohio, and she's kind of a wannabe influencer, or at least her social media posts suggest that she wants to be one. And honestly, she'd probably make a great influencer. I mean, people say she's entitled, she's a mean girl, she's kind of a bully, so she'd fit right in. But despite being all that, there's one guy who still really likes her. Her boyfriend, this guy, Dominic. And Dominic and Mackenzie, they met back in school, and they've been dating on and off for the past few years. Why have they been dating on and off? Well, apparently Mackenzie's not a very good girlfriend. Like, they fight a lot, and she can be really mean to Dominic when they fight. Berating him, calling him names, threatening to key his car.
I will key your car if you do not let me in the house.
You're going to key my car
If you don't let me in the house, yes.
But one day in 2022, shit gets really crazy between them. Because they're in her car, cruising along the highway, and Mackenzie's driving, and they get into an argument like they often do. And they start fighting, and they're yelling at each other, and she's crying and calling him all kinds of names, and suddenly, pow, she starts hitting him from the driver's seat. And so Dominic, he gets scared. I mean, he thinks she might accidentally crash the car. And so he calls his mom to come help him. I guess he wants her to pick him up if he can ever get Mackenzie to pull over. And Mackenzie, she's so pissed off that she threatens to crash the car on purpose and unalive them both. That is psycho behavior. Well, luckily, she doesn't end up crashing the car, and I guess they work it out for the time being. However, her crazy behavior does put a strain on their relationship, and at some point, Dominic decides, yeah, it's about time to break up with her for good. I mean, he feels like this relationship has pretty much run its course. 2 weeks later, Mackenzie and Dominic are still together, and they both go to a friend's party. And they have a lot of fun at this party. I mean, they're hanging out, Dominic is drinking, Mackenzie is apparently not drinking, but she's smoking a little Zaza. And after that, they leave and go to another friend's party, and they have fun there too. And around 5:30 a.m., they're all done. They're about to leave this second party and go home, and a friend of Dominic's needs a ride home too. This guy, his name's Davian. And so Mackenzie, Dominic, and Davian, they're all three in the car headed home. And Mackenzie, she's probably still a little high, but she's driving slow and she's careful, so, you know, they might be okay. In fact, you can see footage of them rounding the corner here, and it looks like they're going at a normal speed. Now, none of us know what really happens inside the car beyond this point, but we can assume, based on past behavior, that Mackenzie and Dominic start fighting. And that is when she just snaps. And skirt, she floors it, pedal to the metal, and the car takes off. And she's so mad that she's gonna unalive everyone in the car, including herself. And of course, Dominic's probably like, what the f***, slow down! And he tries to stop her. And he allegedly grabs the gear shift and he throws it into neutral, but Mackenzie grabs the shift herself and rams it back into drive, and she keeps on going, faster and faster, and she gets the car up to 90 miles an hour. And as they reach the end of that street, she doesn't ease her foot off the gas, she doesn't stop, she doesn't brake, she doesn't turn, she keeps on speeding, accelerating toward a brick wall on the side of a building. And she gets the car to nearly 100 miles an hour. And suddenly, kaboom, she crashes into the wall head on. Here is actually security footage of Mackenzie's car just before it hits. And here's a picture of the wall after it was hit. And here's a picture of Mackenzie's car, and here's the car from another angle. So yeah, you get it. This is really bad. Now, they're in an industrial part of town early in the morning, so there's no one around. It takes about 45 minutes for anyone to see the wreckage and call police. And so police show up, and they can see that the car is all busted up.
This car's split in two.
And they discover that, unfortunately, Dominic, he didn't make it. And neither did Davian. They were both killed instantly on impact. While Mackenzie, she actually survives. And she's rushed to the hospital, and she's there for a while, and she has to have a bunch of surgeries, but she does end up making it. And she's eventually discharged from the hospital, and she goes home. Meanwhile, police, they have to investigate all this and figure out what the hell really happened. So of course, they question Mackenzie, but she doesn't claim that she slammed into the brick wall on purpose. No. She says she doesn't remember anything regarding the crash that night, so she's not very helpful. And so they go and they interview Dominic's friends and people in their circle. And their friends tell police, like, yeah, Mackenzie was a little nutty in the relationship. In fact, she used to threaten Dominic. And police see recordings of her threatening to key his car.
I will key your car if you do not let me in the house.
Police are also told about the fight Mackenzie and Dominic got in weeks before, where she got really pissed off and threatened to crash the car on purpose and unalive her and him both. And while police continue to investigate, Mackenzie, she's out here living her best life. Like a few weeks after being discharged from the hospital, she's caught attending a concert, and here she is, she's in a wheelchair because she's still recovering from the accident. She also goes back to making TikToks, like this one.
I'm not even cool. I'm just one of those girls that can do a lot of drugs and not die.
And notice how she adds the caption, Google Mackenzie Shirilla, Strongville, Ohio. Like she wants you to Google her and see that she was driving her car and got into a horrible accident that killed her boyfriend. Because that's the only thing that comes up when you Google her. Like she wants attention from all this. Why? Not only that, she goes out for Halloween to a party dressed up as, and I'm not making this up, dressed up as a corpse. And she actually takes multiple pictures throughout the night and posts them. And I guess she must have dressed up twice because later she dresses up like Lean, while her friend dresses up as a joint. Lean is a mix of cough syrup and soda. It's a drug. And so they dress up like drugs and dead bodies for Halloween. They even make some TikToks about it. Anyway, while police are still working hard on this, they get access to Mackenzie's crash car's event data recorder, aka its black box. I guess the black boxes kind of look like this. Well, they get access to it, and it shows that the night of the crash, after Mackenzie floored it, she never tried to slow down. She never attempted to put her foot on the brake at all, and that she jerked the steering wheel at the last second, which veered them off the road and directly into the brick wall. And so police, they're looking at all this, and they start thinking, this crash seems intentional. Like she was trying to unalive everyone in the car, including herself.
The computer demonstrated that there was no attempt to slow down or stop. It was full speed into a building. Tragically, it cost 2 people their lives.
And so, bam, they go and they arrest her.
Hi, Mackenzie. Step out for me. I'm Detective Jesus. I'm the one who's been investigating the crash. You're under arrest for aggravated murder ×2.
Here's her mugshot. And Mackenzie goes to trial, and she's found guilty, and she's sentenced to life in prison.
Let's get some claps in the chat. Yo, W police investigation. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I was like, everyone in the car died but the person that actually did the freaking crash. Come on, bro. And then she didn't have any remorse after she did it too. She was out partying dressed as a corpse, flexing it on TikTok so she could get more clout, which is already disturbing in itself. And then instantly went to a concert. Dude, she did not care that she killed those 2 that night, dude. And that is just insane to me. So the fact that she got life in prison was well deserved. I'm surprised it took them that long to figure that out, but you know what I'm saying? At least she got what she deserves, if I'm being honest. Horrible story.
This is everything that happened on the news today, but I'm gonna simplify it for you in 60 seconds. These scientists are now saying that they may have just discovered the biggest ever black hole in the entire universe. So these researchers are now suggesting that this new black hole could be as many as 10 times bigger as the black hole that's in the Milky Way. If you were wondering how big that might be compared to something that's already in the solar system, they're saying that this black hole is estimated to be about 36 billion times the mass of our sun. These new images that were just captured by NASA's Curiosity rover could now prove that there was life on Mars. So the latest images that were sent over from the rover on Mars are now showing a piece of a rock that scientists believe could be from billions of years ago. They're saying that this rock is very closely resembling a coral that would be found in the oceans on Earth. There's now over 12,000 packages of these sugar cookies that are being recalled in 20 different states for potential wood contamination. Yeah, wood in cookies. So these are actually the frosted sugar cookies that are under the brand Favorite Day, and it's exclusively sold at Target. If you want to make sure that you do not have these sugar cookies, these are the lot numbers and the UPC codes if you want to make sure you don't have them. Rockstar Games has just officially confirmed the release date of GTA 6, and they're saying that it is officially coming out on May the 26th of 2026. No more waiting. I give you these news roundups every day, so make sure you add me so you don't forget to come back tomorrow.
This man is scared he will never die. Ismail Azizi from Tanzania has reportedly been declared medically dead by by doctors on 6 separate occasions, but has come back to life every single time, and no one can explain how. In a recent documentary by Afromax, they report that the first time he died was after a workplace accident. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition, and soon after, doctors declared him dead, not some randoms off the street. His body was taken to the morgue while his family started preparing his funeral. But to their bewilderment, he regained consciousness and walked out of the morgue onto the street like he was taking a nap. And that was only round 1. He died again after catching malaria, but this time he made it all the way to the coffin before yet again waking up at his own funeral. Now this became a literal cycle for years. Death 3 was after a car accident where he collided with a fuel tank and put him in a coma. But like clockwork at this point, after being pronounced dead by medical professionals again, he woke up. And at this point, even the doctors were getting freaked out. Death 4 was after he got bit by a venomous snake, but this time he spent a whopping 3 days in the morgue. And that really convinced his family that Ishmael was gone for good this time. But no, because when they went to go retrieve his body for his 4th funeral, he woke up again. Now after his 5th death, he fell into a toilet pit. His community started getting a little scared, and they became convinced beyond reasonable doubt that he was a witch or a ghost. So you know what they decided to do? Burn his house down with him inside to try and kill him for the 6th and final time. And guess what? They were successful until he woke up again. Bro, I'd be scared too. I couldn't die. And now after all of this, he has to live in an isolated old house with no neighbors, because apparently he's a bit of a local legend and people are too scared to live near him. He also said he can't get a job either as a result of the stigma.
That's insane. That honestly doesn't even sound real to me.
You might run faster than a cheetah, or maybe even outrun a car. You could dodge a bullet with your low reaction time just by reading the shooter's movements. This means you'd see everything in slow motion as your brain begins processing the world faster than normal. You could jump several meters high, and with insane reflexes, you could potentially dodge almost any animal attack. But at normal conditions, if your adrenaline surge increased this much, you'd black out or die within seconds. If you raised a T-Rex from hatching, it might imprint on you, but not for long. That turkey-sized cute little baby already has a bite force of a large dog, more than enough to kill you. Within months, it'll grow as big as a large dog and will be capable of protecting you. As it outgrows you, it will start showing dominance and turn uncontrollable. You'll have to make sure its stomach is always full, just to avoid the chance of becoming its next meal. Now, standing about 12 feet tall, your T-Rex has become a full juvenile apex predator, driven by instinct to hunt anything in sight. But with a T-Rex as your pet, there's no one left to fear except him.
He was stuck in a coma and couldn't move for 2 years. But when his neighbor checked the cameras, he noticed something weird. Because when no one was looking, he would walk to the store and buy groceries like a normal person. You see, it turns out that he was actually faking it the whole time to avoid paying money in court.
This is how Kurt Cobain died. He was the voice of rock in the 90s. Some even called him the King of Rock. Alongside his band, Nirvana, they released their first album, Nevermind, which sold millions and went platinum. But behind the fame was a man slowly crashing out. You see, Kurt actually hated the spotlight. He couldn't stand all the fake smiles or the people who were trying to control his life. In early 1994, things got worse. He overdosed in Rome, collapsing in a hotel room next to his wife. The doctors managed to save him, but that wasn't something he saw as a blessing. Days later, he refused rehab and disappeared from home. No one knew where he went, and he wasn't answering anyone's call. Then came April 8th, when a house cleaner found him at his Seattle home. Lying cold on the floor beside him was a shotgun, a white lighter, and a note saying he'd lost passion for life and music. The official cause of death was suicide, but the weird part is the drug levels found in his system. They were off the charts, enough to knock out an elephant. The surveillance cameras outside didn't help either. They automatically deleted footage every 24 hours. Some people still believe Kurt would never pull the trigger.
So today, we're going to talk about the scariest drug of all time, acid. Acid, aka LSD, is by far the scariest substance I've ever used in my life. 10 times worse than edible, 5 times worse than shrooms. I don't think I've ever had such horrifying moments with any other substance. LSD is a hallucinogen. It makes you hallucinate. It can make you see things that aren't there. It could convince you of things that aren't true. It could change the whole way you look at life. I got introduced to acid when I was about 19, 20 years old. My boy was a musician, and he always told me that acid would unlock the secrets of life. And he sounded so convincing convincing. Acid usually comes on a little piece of paper, like this big. So when I first seen it, I'm like, there's no way this could be that strong. And boy, was I wrong. My first trip was crazy. You couldn't tell me that I didn't have life figured out. The reason why I say it's the scariest drug of all time is because the hallucinations that you have feel so real. I remember it was me and 3 of my homies. We all decided to trip this day. We all popped the tab and decided to hop in traffic. So as we driving, it started to really kick in. My boy, I'ma call him Jay. He like, yo, bro, you see what I'm seeing? I'm like, nah. He was pointing to our other men. He was like, yo, bro, he don't look different to you? So he called his name out. I'ma call him K. K is in the front seat with a hoodie on. He like, yo, K, yo, tell me that's you, bro. K like, what are you talking about? He like, bro, as soon as you look to the side like this, all I seen was a horse head under your hoodie. K like, what? I'm tripping so hard. When K turned his head, I literally started to see a horse head under this hoodie. Scariest shit I ever seen in my life. And it's crazy because a lot of people feel like this is like this higher level of consciousness. And I did too, for the longest. I realized I was just high. I wouldn't recommend acid to nobody. I've heard of people using it one time and never being the same again. They say acid's not addictive, but I know people that trip every chance they get. Anytime their tolerance comes back down, they trip. Any festival, party, movie, I feel like LSD is something that you have to be ready for. Because if you go into it just thinking that it's something slight, you're in for a rude awakening. I done seen it take down the best of them. I'm talking about my toughest friends. I watched them cry their eyes out for a whole bunch of shit that's in their head, and it literally scarred them for life. Some of your favorite artists used it, and they made it seem cool. They say it's a way to raise your consciousness. I would highly disagree.
Bro, at the end of the day, the math is pretty simple. Just don't do drugs. Boom. But, you know what I'm saying? Some people be bored, I guess, but I'll tell you a story. So I've heard a lot of times people be like, yo, if you take this thing, you take this substance, you might not be able to come out of the trip. You might not be able to come out. You might get stuck in the trip. And for the longest, I was like, that's fake. Like, your brain, you know what I'm saying, your body will filter it out. Until I literally know someone that took it and got psychosis. Bro, they literally took the substance and never returned to normal. Like, now they're on medication. So that's why I'm like, hey, just don't do it. It's that simple.
Thank you all for